Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please be seated. So maybe we can start. You can tell me your name and the grade that you're in.
My name is Zane, and I'm in grade 4.
Thank you, Zane.
My name is Riwa and I'm in grade 5.
Excellent. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet
Well,
you.
this is your second week of school, so are you
Yes.
excited?
Yes.
Very good. Well, I hear you have some important questions for me.
Yeah.
What would you like to know?
How did you become the chief superintendent?
Well, thank you. I started off as a teacher, and I taught for several years, and then I was a AP, assistant principal, and then principal of a secondary school, and then became superintendent for a small area in Toronto before I moved to Calgary last December as the chief superintendent.
What do you do as a chief superintendent?
Well, I do a lot of things. I get to visit schools. I get to visit, meet employees across the organization to listen and learn about what's happening in schools, what's happening around the district, to make sure that students that we're meeting the needs of students and that you are experiencing success, not just only you, but students like yourself across the district. But I also attend a lot of meetings, meet with folks not only within CBE, but also our partners, whether they're community members or organizations outside CBE. So it's very exciting work.
How do you pronounce your name, and where does it come from?
Well, that's a very interesting question. My last name is pronounced Usi, and the origin of that name is African. I was born in Nigeria and West Africa, so that's the origin of the name.
Is it busy running the CBE?
Yes, it's very busy. We have over 240 schools, the CBE, and not only do we have people who work in schools, but we also have people who work in offices outside schools, in different units, transportation, IT, HR, all the different units within the organization. So it's a very busy place.
How many schools have you been to, and what have you seen?
Well, I've been to close to 40 schools since I've arrived here, and of course, the highlight of my day is visiting schools. And I see wonderful learning happening in our classrooms, just as I saw at your school today. And I see a lot of adults working, diligently to make sure that students are successful.
Do you have to work every day?
Yes, every day, and not just only weekdays, sometimes even weekends, just to make sure that everything is going well. And but it's very exciting work. It doesn't feel like work actually, because I so enjoy what I do.
What does it feel like to run the CBE?
Well, it's quite a big responsibility, but I don't do it alone. I do it with a lot of people, staff, both in schools and in central offices. So there are a lot of people in the district, 14,000 employees. So I get to work with every day to make sure that students like yourselves are successful.
Do you have a boss?
Well, yes, we have a board of trustees. There are 7 trustees who make up the board, and I report to the board of trustees. But generally, not only to the trustees, but to parents and families, so everyone is my boss.
Thank you for coming to Cappy Smart School this morning.
Thank you for answering all of our questions.
And thank you for those excellent questions.
Have an amazing school year.
So you've been with the Calgary Board of Education for about 8 months now. I'm wondering if you could tell us a bit about what you think our greatest strengths are.
Well, first of all, thank you, Erin, for having me here at your school, at Cappy Smart School. Nice to be here. I think our greatest strength, quite frankly, the people. I mean, we have just incredible employees in our organization, and whether I'm visiting schools or workplaces across our district, just really impressed with the dedication and commitment of our staff.
So one of the biggest changes you've made so far is the new school support model. What's going to change with this model, and how's that going to translate to more support for schools?
Well, Erin, I'm really excited about the school support model because, again, the focus for us is making sure that each and every student in our district is successful or experience greater success. So the school support model is about making sure that we maximize our resources in ways that benefit students, moving those resources to places where it has the greatest impact. So the first thing we've done that I'm really excited about is making that shift where through the reorganization that we've undertaken, having more directors working closely with principals and school teams to ensure greater success. So we're bringing those supports closer to schools, and by bringing those supports closer to schools, we'll be more responsive to the work that is happening in schools, recognizing that the unit of change is the classroom and the school. So our goal is to ensure that those supports are in place for our students to be successful. And ultimately, the school support model is about raising the bar for every student and certainly identifying those gaps, students who are not doing well, and what those challenges are, so that we can close those gaps.
So the new school support model has changed many of the roles and responsibilities of a lot of our senior leaders. I'm wondering how we're going to measure the success of those changes.
What we've asked schools to do is identify 3 goals: one, a literacy goal, another goal in a program of study could be science or math or CTS, and last but not least, certainly a well-being goal, because we recognize the significance of well-being, not only for students, but also for staff. We have strong indicators of success, measures of success in our district, but we also recognize that there are gaps. And so schools, again, knowing your students or knowing the students at each school, looking at the evidence and the data at each school, schools are able to really focus, in terms of where those strengths are and where the gaps are, based on the evidence.
So equity is an important focus for yourself and for the board, and we've seen some short-term support so far, and I'm wondering if you could shed some light on what the long-term plan is as well.
Oh, indeed. The equity conversation is about, again, making sure that we build on the success that we have at the CBE. Equity doesn't mean every student or every school being treated the same way, but rather that students have the supports that they need and the resources that they need to be successful. So the equity conversation is one that really aligns nicely with our goal at the CBE, and that is success for each student every day, no exceptions.
Given the continual changing political climate and the continued funding shortfalls, how are we going to continue making sure that we're finding success for all communities?
Well, that's a very good question. We know that there will never be a time where we have enough funding to do everything we want to do. So it really means that we have to prioritize. The school support model allows us, again, to be really intentional in the work of improving outcomes for students. So our limited resources focused on our priorities will allow us to address the needs of the students in our schools across the city.
Classrooms are getting bigger and more complex, and we're trying to do more with less. I'm wondering how we're going to be able to support students and staff through these changes.
Well, Aaron, I recognize the increasing complexities in our classes, and in my school visits, I've heard from principals and APs and staff in general around those complexities. I really believe that the school leadership and school teams are in best position to identify those complexities or those challenges, and to work closely with their education directors and others, not just only school staff, but central staff as well, in identifying where those needs are, so that we can be more intentional in the way we address those needs.
Well, thanks, Chris, for coming to Cappy Smart School and for taking the time to answer our questions.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to welcome everyone to another exciting year of teaching and learning. We are so fortunate to have dedicated and passionate people like you working with our students each and every day. We have put together a short video to celebrate the many staff and students who make us glorious.
There are times when you might feel aimless and can't see the places where you belong, but you will find that there is a purpose. It's been there within you all along, and when you're near it, you can almost hear it. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. discover who you are. Others around you will start to wake up to the sounds that are in their hearts. It's so amazing what we're all creating. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. And as you feel the notes build, you will see. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out